I guess, what is environmental justice? Or better yet, that's a misnomer. It's injustice, right? It's been 100 years in the making, as the Lieutenant Governor has said, but I guess it came into our country's lexicon in 1990 when Robert Bullock looked at the city of Houston, whose population was 25% African American, yet 100% of the landfills were in that neighborhood. So fast forward, as it related to how I had an epiphany about environmental justice, it occurred in 2005. And that was when, and Troy Singleton was a staff member and worked very closely on this, when we were looking at precious resources earmarked for the environment through the corporate business tax, and we were looking at retrofitting diesel buses, diesel school buses. And people said, look, school buses, they have to be retired every 10 years, so it'll only be another 10 years. Why spend the money there? And that was when I met Kim Geddes. And that was when she explained to me the disparate numbers of childhood asthma that were in cities like Newark and Camden and Trenton and Patterson, and what environmental justice really meant to people who were visited by that. So, Kim, I just want you to know that anything that I've been involved with the environment has always been looked to through the prism that you taught me for. So I'm always quite grateful for that. And our nation and state and city are grateful for you. We talked about Houston, but let's bring this home here to our great state of New Jersey. A 2019 DEP study showed that African Americans are subjected to 56% more air pollution than their consumption is responsible for. In the Latino community, it's even more pronounced. They are subjected to 63% more air pollution than their consumption is related to. Now, if you happen to have the same pigment of the skin that I do, that number is 12%. Not 12% less, literally, or more, 12% less are Caucasians subjected to than their consumption is responsible for. That's wrong. It's not just. As it relates to this great city, of Newark, and under the stewardship of Mayor Baraka, and I'm so proud of everything that you do, Raj. I speak to people from other states, and they'll make a crack, and I always love to talk about the Ironbound. I talk about this 4 square miles that has the greatest of ethnic restaurants, these amazing houses that are also meticulously maintained within a few steps of a grand sports arena, let alone that jewel that's the New Jersey Pack. But yet, let's think about it. The Ironbound in that 4 square miles has 3 toxic waste sites, 2 power plants, and an incinerator. Now, if anybody wants to jump in the car with me as soon as this ceremony is over, I'll take you on about a 10-mile ride or 10-minute ride to other communities that are 4 square miles just up the road, and I guarantee you there's not as much as a septic system in any of those towns. That's wrong, and it's not just. So what does this bill really do when it comes to it? If it's a sludge facility, if it's a salvage yard, if a whole array of things under Title V concerning those kind of licenses that produce air pollution, if they want to come to an already overburdened city, then there is going to be a process, and it's going to be transparent, and the advocates are going to be heard. And then when the DEP takes that into consideration, not that they may, they will not cite those facilities in overburdened communities. And even better, there's 236 of those licenses out there now. Now, they have to, under federal law, be renewed either at 5-year or 10-year increments. So when those renewals happen, the same process will take place, and the community will be heard. And then the DEP maybe won't boot them out, but what they will do is put conditions that are reasoned and will be effective in lessening the impact on facilities that are already in place. And I just note to the naysayers that this is going to be some kind of job killer, and we can argue forever as it relates at what cost do you put around individuals' health. But the truth be told, this is going to be a job producer. All of those conditions that Commissioner McCabe is going to put into place are going to have to be built. They're going to have to be marshaled. And so this not only is going to be for the betterment of our society and our state, but it's also going to produce jobs and be good for our economy. You know, I'm sure it's obvious to all of you that this is part of a greater conversation about equality as it relates to the criminal justice system, education, health, the cost of, prescription drugs, education. The person sitting behind me somewhere about 20 years ago, I first met him when he was on a hunger strike at the Garden Spires. And I knew he was somebody to believe in. And all of those issues that I just spoke about, Cory Booker is advocating for us on a national level. And it's my hope today, Cory, my prayer, that come January, there's going to be the help down in Washington that's going to allow you to get all these things to the goal line for our great nation. Thank you for what you're doing. And I just, the Lieutenant Governor mentioned it. My middle daughter, who I mentioned is here, had the good fortune of going to Wake Forest University when Maya Angelou was a visiting professor. And Melissa shared with me a quote that I do think is just so apropos. Do the best you can until you know better. And then once you know better, do better. Now, in a few moments, with the stroke of the governor's pen on the wings of all of the advocates, and really with the number one sponsor and the person who pushed this through, Champion Troy Singleton, New Jersey is about to do better. God bless you all.